Man, I am pumped about this year. I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be a great year. Hey, with that said, I thought last year was. And not that it was a bad year. I think I'm a better person. I grew. Hey, my business, Gregory Ricks and Associates, was a better year, but I still look back. I kind of think of years. You know, this is kind of the time to set goals, break bad habits, start good habits. And a lot of talk of last month and this month has been about what we're going to accomplish this year, what we're going to do, how am I going to look at the year. So I always kind of, I look at 2022 as the year of disruption. I look at, and I have two parts. You know, I'll define it this way, and this is kind of a business take, but it's to see who we are this year. Because I've got some goals. Can we meet those? Can we get better? And really have consistency. You know, for me as a business owner, a leader, a wealth advisor, somebody that helps people, how am I going to be this year? Who am I going to be? How am I going to evolve? So that's some of what I think about. You as investors, you know what last year was? It's a year of disruption as well. Who are you going to be this year? How is investing going to be this year? So hopefully that's what we do this year, is help you. And another definition or goal I've got for this year for our business, Gregory Ricks and Associates Total Wealth Authority, is the year of client love. So I've made we started some initiatives. We're changing things. We're doing more client-oriented, client-centric events there. More focus on clients. It doesn't mean we don't want new clients. We want new clients, people that we can help that are a fit for us. I can't be everything to everybody, but those that are a fit, we want to be everything to them. Just some thoughts going through my mind I wanted to share with you this morning. I am Gregory Ricks, host of Winning at Life, this radio show we've been bringing to you for over 12 years. And as well known as we are, I still come across people. I was doing an interview for a news show this week, and they were like, "Oh, you do a radio show?" Yeah, so yeah, people don't know about us as well. So one of the things is to get that story out there. Magic of the show is you, the listener. You can join the conversation by calling us at 504-260-0995. For newbies just tuning in, I'm CEO, founder, and wealth advisor at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. It's financial advisory, money management, helping people. You know, kind of the way a real short definition of what we do is we help good people make great decisions so they can enjoy an amazing retirement. That's our goal, is to have better decision making going forward. And I've got Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company here in studio today with me. Well, not for the whole show, but he's committed to this hour for sure. Depending on callers and all, we might get him to stay an extra segment. But with that said, this is your opportunity to join the conversation. I told him, I said, we got a great topic for the show today. You know, he is a CPA, by the way. He likes doing him some taxes in his firm. It's kind of their jam. But I said, it's a great day tax time. Actually in 2 more days, you can file your tax returns. That's kind of the official start date is the 23rd. Free file was made available last week, I believe it was. I'm not sure if I got the date right, but around the 16th or something, free file became available. Hey, that's a tip, and we'll have Jude talk more about it. But look, those that have adjusted gross income of $73,000 or less, go to irs.gov or do a search for free file. Hey, you can get some IRS love there on getting your taxes done. And look, I'm a proponent of getting help to do your tax return. So if you've got some questions, you might as well get them in this morning because he's going to help save you some money, and I like saving money, and let's be on board. Well, let's get this stuff done early. I gripe about that every year. I want mine done earlier. I'd like mine done tomorrow. Ain't happening, but it's kind of a good wish. So if we think about pushing forward, just don't be with the crowd at the back end. Jude, a question for you. Mic up. You got to get closer. Got to pull that mic in front of you. Move that paper over a little bit so they pick you up. Turn the mic towards you. Okay. And he's hot, right? Okay. So here's one of the things that came up in my discussion yesterday morning on when I guested on WWL for this morning show is are there more expenses in waiting late? Just like versus people coming to you now to get tax returns done versus waiting to July or August or September. Does it cost more?
Well, you should know that you have enough paid in if you're going to extend. So taxes are due.
Yeah, but I just start with fees. Do you kind of like during the crush? Yeah, it probably costs a bit more.
Certainly, during our busiest time, we have the most in-house, and all the emails and the funneling down to get to a proper and accurate filing. It takes a good bit to understand what the client's transactions are and presenting on a return, making sure it's compliant with the IRS rules. So, yes, I would say that the earlier the better in terms of fees.
You can join the conversation at 504-260-0995. Reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. You can text, email, call the show through the app, or just email questions over info@gregoryricks.com. And hey, everybody in TV land, we're streaming over on Facebook Live, as well as YouTube, our YouTube channel, and other channels. There are too many to list at this time. Plus, I don't know all the names of them. I don't worry about remembering that. It's just what technology does. And replays will go up after the show today, but you've got me for the next 3 hours. And today we're going to cover taxes. Is going to be tax-centric in this hour, but in the following 2 hours, we're going to have topics like investing topics. We'll talk about some annuities. Got a couple ideas on that might help you. Social Security, one of the favorite topics of the show over the past 12 years. We're going to talk about those topics as well. So I've got to get my notes together here. So once again, we're starting with taxes this week. Any tips right out the gate?
So what we do is we have a portal, and what we encourage our clients to do is to treat the portal like you would your tax envelope from years past. So in years past, would mail an organizer to clients. They'd keep that big envelope, and any 1099s, any tax documents that they got in, they would stuff in that envelope. And when it was mostly full, they would bring it by and say, I think I'm almost there. I might be waiting on a K-1. I might be waiting on a 1099, 1098, one straggler, but get started. Treat the portal the same way. It's digital. Scan it, upload it. That is the most efficient way to get your tax done. We watch the uploads every morning, and we will get started on your return when we start to get to critical mass. When we feel like we have something to present, hey, this is a great draft. Looks like we're missing this K1, this 1099. Call them, see if they didn't mail, blah, blah. And so we encourage our clients. We are very much, it's a participatory process. We don't work in the dark.
Like that. We don't work in the dark. You want to shine some bright lights onto what's going on out there. So what's the most helpful thing people could start doing at this point to get ready?
Certainly identify your income sources. If there are deductions available that like it's Schedule C or 1099 income or that sort of thing, start your accounting now. Start assembling your documents now. Do a little spreadsheet of your bills, your expenses. Organize yourself before you come see us, because the proverbial shoebox full of receipts doesn't happen much anymore. But we still have folks that come in that they file every year and they just don't want to be organized. And if you show up on April the 15th with a whole bunch of receipts, we'll extend you and we'll do you in as fast as possible, but certainly understand that it takes a little bit longer. So the main advice is organize your taxes as we go. Start pulling it together now.
That is probably the best advice right there, is get started, because you know what people do. They procrastinate, wait till it's time, like, oh, Lordy, I've got to get my stuff in, and then you're missing things. I'll tell you, here are some complications, your earned income credits, child care credits, those are a bit of complications. If you've done Roth conversions or backdoor Roth conversions, an example, there's additional tax forms. Otherwise, if you did a backdoor Roth conversion and didn't do the proper form along with that, noting how that was done, they're going to send you a tax bill in 2 years. So that, once again, adds cost. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mortgage Gumbo, can you help me? Can you help my client purchase a new home loan? Gumbo Nation, this is the questions I receive daily from listeners just like you. Hi, this is Dwayne Stein of MortgageGumbo.com, and I'm proud to say yes, I can help you. At Mortgage Gumbo, we guide you through the home buying process, giving you the whys to each step in your exciting journey. Let's start with a free chat today. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
Hey, how you doing?
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
If you've been listening to Winning at Life for a while now, you probably already know that estate planning is more than just a will. You may need a trust. You definitely need both of your powers of attorney. So what's your plan? Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney, offices in Metairie. Listen, don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
One of the core jobs with annuities that goes back hundreds of years is to guarantee income for life. It has that option in there. We like to use it as a distribution tool of income that, markets go all to hell and your assets won't go down. So that should be part of your blend to help levelize volatility with some risk-averse assets that's going to grow despite what's going on in the markets. It can be pension-like money, and a lot of what we do is bond-like money in that world. Bond-like is what annuities do, not what they are.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Welcome to the show. Looking at the Times-Picayune this morning, the printed version. Can you believe that? They send it to my house every morning for my convenience in case my internet's down or something. I forget my computer password. I've got the newspaper right here. Here's something that strikes my attention right off because it got my attention a couple days ago regarding some insurance. And a leader is skeptical of special session. Donilon says it is needed to address insurance crisis. State Insurance Commissioner Jim Donilon pleaded for a special session to tackle Louisiana's property insurance crisis, but faced a flurry of skeptical questions Friday from state lawmakers. I'm going to give you the next paragraph here and then give you a couple thoughts. Donilon, appearing before a powerful joint legislative committee on budget, said a special session would pave the way for up to 7 companies to start writing policies after 8 previous ones went out of business, and others quit writing business amid a surge of costly hurricanes in recent years. The company I had my homeowners with withdrew from the state. And they didn't just withdraw from Louisiana either. I think they're some of these companies are withdrawing from the Gulf South, hurricane area. So I had to change. I had to bind coverage the other day. And it isn't like we can go around and do a bunch of price shopping. I'm just telling you, my homeowner's insurance went up dramatically. What do you do? Okay, so that headline right there, something's got to be done on that. I don't know the answer to it, but I know what I had to do. I had to bind coverage and pay more. My wife asked me, she says, well, if we find better coverage or better deal, can we change? I said, absolutely. It's not locked in that, you'll have to stay the course for 12 months. Nope, but we had to bind coverage, so I don't know that we'll improve upon it. It isn't like we have lots of options there. So you have any thoughts on that? Is that how can I write off? Can I write off my homeowner's coverage?
It's tricky.
Then that would. So that can I shift that to pre-tax dollars? I know I'm messing with you, but man, I'd have to run a business out of my house for sure then, and that model doesn't work for me as well. But just a thought there. Anything you have to add regarding that?
We moved, the last time we moved was in 2017, and our homeowners has doubled since then.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine may have doubled this year. I'm not positive about that, but it was kind of like sticker shock.
My insurance agent is a client, and I told him, I said, you as my prices go up, so will yours.
Yeah, and some of this that generated that is property values going up pushes you to another level. I said, well, I don't want to sell and move into a 2-bedroom house or something. A little house in my case doesn't work. I have too much stuff stuck in every corner. Closets are full, such as that. So that won't work. So to downsize probably would not be efficient as well for me in that case. So it's kind of a problem that we have. But let's get back to taxes, something we can tackle and give answers for. So, one of the things that I talked about yesterday was eliminating costly mistakes. So when it gets close to a tax deadline, many people rush through their taxes and make mistakes. So what are some of the common things you see there? And this might be that you're not going to see it on the front end, but because you're catching that. But when you're having to fix problems later, what typically does that look like?
Well, one of the things that we do is after April the 1st, if we start to notice that the conversation with the client is getting a little frenetic, and we think that they might not be paying attention to detail of what we're saying, we'll just encourage, hey, let's just round it up 10, 15, 20%, get a good extension payment in. We'll finish this over the summer and get it clean and nice and ready to file the first time. The IRS says that the filing can be extended, but the payment is due on April 15th. Otherwise, you risk running interest and penalty if you pay late. And so let's just take that off the table, and let's just pay a little something. We know we're under the window. We know we're in the ballpark of how much you're going to owe, but we need to fine tune it a little bit and educate you a little bit more on what the proper deduction is. Let's take some more time.
That's one of the things you mentioned, that you can file an extension, but your money's supposed to be paid up to what you expect. Now, for estimated payments, that was kind of due a few days ago as well, wasn't that?
Yes.
I've got a list of dates here. I'm so organized that I'm not organized at the moment. But that's one of the important things. Estimated payments were supposed to be in last week as well. And if you're going to file an extension beyond April 18th this year, because they added a few days, there's an Emancipation Day in D.C., which pushes the filing date back. So you're supposed to have everything paid in, but you can extend, but you can't extend owing money. So interest is going to accrue there at that point. Let's go back to estimated payments, something I changed a few years ago, because one thing about quarterly payments, Jude, is kind of like, well, that's not my money sitting in my account. And one thing I learned from the owner of the Dallas Cowboys years and years ago, Jerry Jones, when I don't get much from the Cowboys because I really don't care for them. I'm from South Louisiana. So, but one of the things when he bought that team, he got his people that keep up with his money furnish him a report every week of where he stands financially. And that's something I said, well, that is a great idea. I want to see what my numbers look like every Friday. So I get a report from that standpoint. But what I don't like seeing on my report is money that's not mine. It's kind of like, that's the wrong number. So that used to always kind of be built in there. So I have to mentally think, yeah, there's some profit there I've got to give to the IRS. Those cash accounts, that's not all my cash. So I changed that instead of quarterly, because you can build up money and then boom, it's got to go away to the IRS. So I like doing it monthly. And one of the things you turned me on to a while back is the IRS portal to send them money. And I don't do quarterly, I do monthly. There's no reason to wait to quarterly. If you know your month, send it. And we know better than to send them checks. Why?
They're misplacing paper, and paper is a check. And so we've encouraged now, really since the pandemic is when it's all happened, just as much as can be digital should be digital.
So filing the return should be digital and use the portal to send money. And on the other side, a lot of people that get the returns in early. Why? They're getting refunds. So how should they get it?
Direct deposit.
Direct deposit. That check might not make it. We hear about mailbox thefts all the time. You know, those blue things, do they even have those anymore? Mail drop boxes? No, we always just go into the post office and drop off anything we have to, or the postman actually picks it up from us. Either Angie or Jude, y'all either use the blue boxes anymore?
No, a while back they were reporting that they were being stolen from.
Yeah, that's why I don't. And then I see white covers. I say, oh, that's covering up the purple box. There. So dealing with IRS, you want to do the portal, and I recommend you, as Jude does, is send them the money as you owe it. So we, lack of proper terms, we basically do a profit loss every month end, and see where we are, and that kind of keeps, okay, based on that and year to date, how much are we going to owe in taxes? So we send them some money every month. If the next month kind of shows a negative, okay, we don't owe money for this. So we do a run and tally on that so we don't have to worry. And by the time January gets here, we're all totaled up ahead on that. Another hack I like for two reasons is I like staying on the positive side, something I learned from somebody doing this show here. And I appreciate that. But I like a positive balance because it shows favor with the IRS, we'll define it as. And number two, you can put some more money in I-bonds at treasurydirect.gov because there's a limit of how much you can do directly, but if you've got a refund, I believe it's up to $5,000, you can add that to your I-bonds directly or have the IRS send it over there for you in that case. So that's two reasons to kind of carry a surplus. I know a lot of you think of surplus as, yeah, I need to pay the kids' tuition. You're listening to Winning at Life.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Today we see rising costs at the grocery store and the gas pump. Have you prepared for rising inflation and higher taxes in your financial plan? Get our guide, Inflation and Your Retirement. Go to GregoryRicks.com/inflation to get our guide today. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
Our firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. FeedingAmerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. President Biden spending the weekend in Delaware as the classified documents scandal continues to swirl.
President Biden is spending the weekend at his other home in Delaware this weekend. This one, his beach house in Rehoboth Beach. Some eyebrows were raised here in the press briefing room at the White House, saying, why is the president going to his summer home in the middle of the winter? Because they were wondering if classified documents were found also in Rehoboth. The White House, as you mentioned, denied that, but perhaps a search is ongoing. Late this week, President Biden says he has no regrets over this issue and said, quote, I think you're going to find there's nothing there.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Portions of the Northeast may finally see some snowfall.
This is kind of a tomorrow afternoon thing. It's all snow across the interior regions and the I-95 corridor, where we really have not even seen any significant snow or any snow this winter.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
If you got a kiss on your lips, but you're looking for somebody to take. If you got a heart that ain't afraid to love, ain't afraid to break.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Welcome to the show. If you're just tuning in, we have Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company, and yeah, we're talking about taxes today. When I went to break, I was on a darn roll there. But once again, it's kind of get your taxes in. You've got to be in by mid-month of January on your quarterly payments. I shared the story. I like to pay it in monthly because I don't like it sitting in my account thinking I have more money than I have. That's somebody else's money. It's kind of like owing money. Want to get that bill paid. Don't want to carry the debt. Don't want to owe Uncle Sam money. And I was talking to somebody here on the break. Won't name names, but she said, you know, they're not always so nice over there. Yeah, they're like, pay me my money. Or they might say, girl, you in trouble. You know, it's the IRS. But I don't know. I haven't talked to one of those in a long time. Do they still have people there that answer the phone? Or they just put everybody on hold times? Is that how it works? Make you think they're going to get to you?
So in reading some of the reports of how they're changing their labor pools after the pandemic, one of the reasons why the backlog is still there of the million-plus paper returns that they haven't processed from 21 in 22 is because they've reassigned staff to phone duty.
Staff to phone duty?
The staff that
I saw they had something about hiring 5,000 more people to handle the phones. Okay, so how are they handling their backlog right now? We've got a whole new tax year starting up. They've hired more phone people, they say. You say they've moved people around. But one thing about it is, gosh, it's like computers are doing most of this now, isn't it?
No, not everything can be done with their systems. Some things are still, you have to have human eyes on it and somebody that can make sense of what we're talking about. So that, just not going to be. So yes, everything we can do digital transmission of data, we do.
Okay, so some more of the costly mistakes is missing numbers, simple errors, misspelling. If you're doing the paper, you didn't sign the form electronically, that kind of makes sure that you do that. I'd say more of the problems come from people probably doing it themselves. Or then on the other hand, they could forget to tell you something like I did a Roth conversion last year. Oops. I had that a few years ago, like, darn, we did a Roth conversion, backdoor Roth conversion. Oops, we need to file, what's that called?
5498.
Yeah, and then we have to file a correction.
An amended return.
An amended return. And look, if you catch that, you should really get on that, because bad news is coming on that. It's either costing you your tax refund, or they're sending you a bill later.
Lots of times when you make the amendment without the IRS catching it, they will grant you the change without penalty. They'll still charge you interest, but a person has to process an amended return. And so that person that's looking at it will say, they wanted to correct their record. I've seen it happen a lot. And so I encourage people, if they find something, if we see something, don't wait to get a letter from the IRS. Let's just fix it.
Yeah, so filing late will cost you that, and tell me if this is right here in my notes. The IRS will charge you a penalty of 5% of your unpaid taxes for each month your return is late, up to 25% of unpaid tax. That is high.
1/4, yes.
Wow. Well, that's per the IRS, so I guess it is right from that standpoint. So it's important to get that on time. So talk to me. I know you've got some notes here you had given me regarding the child credits, earned income credits. Help me with that.
So the point I was making to you of things to talk about on the show today was refund expectations. When you read the tax chatter that's out there right now, it's all a buzz about the expectations. You mentioned earlier that a lot of people that have school-age children save their refunds or feel like they're building a refund to pay their children's tuition, which is typically due right after April the 15th. And the point of these articles is that the refund expectations, they should be a little lower this year than they were for the 2021 filing season in 2022. Child tax credits have been reduced. They weren't re-upped by Congress from what they were pandemic level. The earned income credit has been adjusted. And so my point of bringing that to you is just to let the public know that for those folks that typically get a refund, hey, 2021 in the middle of 2022, I got a nice big refund, plus I got monthly checks, and all that's kind of coming back into balance now. And so, your refund that you had might be reduced a little bit. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you that reduce your expectations a little bit, because and maybe save a little bit more money if you need for your children's tuition or something else. So I'm just bringing that into the air of the IRS is saying that refunds are going to be smaller this year than they were last year. That's a general rule.
Well, one of the parts of that is there weren't stimulus checks in 2022, so those weren't factored in there. Now, going forward, because of the child credits reverted back, so that wasn't added or continued by law. I guess they still could do it, throw it into the we got to raise the government's budget ceiling, so they might throw something in with that. I wouldn't expect that, but that's no longer going forward. So that's factored in there as well as a consideration for that. See some other important dates we've got coming up. Once again, free file is available on January 13th. Direct deposit is best for refunds. Use the portal if you owe them money to make sure that they get it. And extensions, those that want to wait possibly as long as you can, that goes out for personal returns to October 16th, right?
Yes.
What about business?
Business to September the 15th.
Now, you had noted something about gig jobs. That something, and we've talked about that a good bit over the past few months, and that world is changing, but we got a reprieve. it got put off, right?
Well, the reporting from the payment apps and services got a year reprieve. You didn't get a reprieve from reporting that income.
No, it's just those that can see your cash flow don't have to report it all.
Right. And I think that gives us another year to consider, that Congress is even talking about, they're not trying to go after the family that's trying to sell their used sofa on eBay. That's not the point of tracking cash through these apps. And so they're going to have to find a way to get both, because the IRS needs the bounce data to match up against their AI so they can send letters in 2 years saying you didn't pick up this income, much like they do 1099s for broker reporting or interest reporting or whatever. And so they're going to need that. And so they have to find a way. And it's available. It's just a matter of clicking the right switch in the computer app. And so that's probably coming. But the point of the matter is that we're not going to be receiving those 1099Ks in the few weeks for X amount of dollars. That's a conglomerate of all your sofa sales and your Airbnb and when you door dashed and that sort of stuff.
What if you have like 10 used sofas you need to sell? That'd be a problem.
Are you a trader?
20 recliners.
Are you in the business? Are
So
you
that's not a word.
hopper?
That'd be suspicious in that case as well. Hey, a couple other things. One of the topics here that I was looking at yesterday is more time to pay what you owe by filing early. Does that really buy you time? How does that buy you time? You still got to have it in by April 18th.
Right.
So one of the thoughts, and I shared this yesterday, hopefully I wasn't wrong, but you can be the one to correct it, that you don't have to send the money in with the tax return. You're doing it early because they're going to send you a letter in 30 days saying, hey, you owe me $2,000. Is that right? So then that way you're getting more time. You don't have to send it right with the return, but you got to get it in.
Yeah.
But you're probably getting some interest because you owe money. You should have had it in by January 17th. Hey, you're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. If you want to join the conversation, ask Jude a question, 504-260-0995.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, better call Gregory.
One of the things I'm going to find out is, what do you think you're going to need a month to continue your lifestyle? And if they're not sure, I say, well, what are you spending now? Because I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different. One thing I'll suggest is you need to do a little bit of homework. You need to go look at your outflow from your checking account the past 6 months. Now, sometimes people will pay their bills on a quarterly basis, or, well, I pay my insurance once a year on the house. Well, go back a year and average it out to see what you're needing to pay. And then you have a handle, because now that tells me the net number. So now we have to go back, look at your overall income need. Where does that fit in tax brackets, and get to a gross number?
Call Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
When I was growing up, my mom relied on old wives' tales to get rid of outdoor bugs. One method included putting 2 pennies in a bag of water and hanging them throughout the backyard. And let's not forget Mom's go-to, the citronella candle, which never worked. It's the 20s. We have science and much more thorough ways to get rid of bugs. Call Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases their mosquito death over a course of a month. Because mosquitoes suck. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
One of the things I get questions about often is about investing. Hey, I've got some money. What should I do? Where should I put it? I'll ask next, how how much money are we talking about? Well, yeah, I've got $5,000 to invest. So where should I go with it? And then the next question would be, is that emergency money? Do you have another account with emergency money in that? And a lot of times the answer is no. Then my next point would be, that sure sounds like emergency money. And you need to have that before you go elsewhere, saving or investing.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, that's my girl in the passenger seat. Windows down, dancing around.
Hey, y'all, we're back. Winning at Life. Live Financial News Talk Radio. Tax Tips Hour. We're doing this hour. Jude's got another one. What's this about choosing the date of electronic payments?
So that's another advantage to e-filing your return. You get to deduct direct draft from your checking account taxes that are due. And when you do that, you choose the date, as long as it's before April 18th, to extract the money. So you had asked the question of, well, what if you file today, but you don't have the money right now? You get a little bit of extra time. And my reply back was, well, yeah, you can choose the date it gets extracted. I'm saying don't send them a check anyway.
Yeah. But here's one of the things I thought about yesterday about this when I was covering this is what are the reasons people delay? It's probably mostly because they're going to owe money. Well, delaying the return really doesn't help that, does it? That probably makes it worse, and as well as owing the money. But first off, you know what you have. And the IRS, they'll do a payment plan, just like your F-150 you bought. Ford kind of helped you with a payment plan to get that. With IRS, we'll do a payment plan as well to get that shored up, and you can quit looking over one of your shoulders about them coming for their money, because eventually they will show up in certain ways and get their money. So being early bird gets the worm, so you can get refunds quicker by getting your return in quicker, but it also getting ahead of this reduces errors, which also could lead to penalties and audits as well. Another reason to file early is prevent identity theft. Technically, how many tax returns can one Social Security number do?
One. And then amendments says,
Yeah, one return. So if you get yours in ahead of who stole your identity, you're getting the refund and not them. Is that still a problem?
Oh, yes. Yes, identity theft. I don't know whether they're bending the curve on that any. I know they've thrown a lot of resources at identity theft. And, for clients that have had their identity compromised in any way, not just with the IRS, we encourage them to get one of those IP pins. Every January, you get a brand new identity theft pin for e-filing that year, and you cannot e-file without that 6-digit pin. And so that's
what do we do to get that?
You have to fill out an affidavit of identity theft showing that your identity was compromised in some way.
Okay, this is in the case where you feel you might have been compromised.
I would say most of us have been. I mean, we get our stuff, drug out on Equifax or whatever, whoever the latest is to report that they had a data leak. If you have any thought that, years ago I had Bell South, to show you how old it is, call from Miami saying that I was trying to open up a telephone account, and I wasn't. And so that was my clue that somebody had my information and was trying to use it in places. And so I've had identity theft protections ever since. And the matter is that if you think you've been compromised, you probably have. And it doesn't hurt to just one more filing requirement to require to get that IP pin every year, and that way only you can e-file your returns.
Yeah, I saw in the news this week. I can't think of who it is offhand, but there was a data breach this week that information was released on. Pretty large firm out there. So the bad guys don't stop. So faster refunds, give you a little bit of flexibility on payment by getting it in, preventing identity theft, and getting them the money will cost you less. So I highly recommend you use Jude Heath and his team there. But if you're going to do it yourself, do it early. Be careful. If you're going to owe them money, don't run from it. If you've got past years done, well, a good time to start is start on this year's. Let's say if you've done this, Jude, and you owe, you said, well, I didn't file one in 5 years or whatever. Which one's the best one to file?
This year's.
This year's right now. Get that done, and then call your office to get help. You can act as a representative for them to help negotiate, get all that stuff corrected and in. And if they're bothering you, I think you could help with that too, to create a pause to get things fixed. Would that be accurate?
Yes. Now, they need to work with the IRS. They'll give them a few weeks, but, they're not going to give them several
but
months.
using you to get that ship righted and take some pressure off.
Right. We can keep the wolves away from the door.
They're banging on the door. Can you get them to back off a little bit? Something else we talked about on the break, and this is regarding required minimum distribution. So the RMD age was changed again. So RMDs are going to start for those that haven't reached required minimum distribution age. Now, what that is if you have qualified money, so an example of an IRA or 401k in some cases, if you're not working there, you've got to start taking required minimum distributions. And that now is age 73. Now, if you were 72 last year and had to start, you don't get wavered on that. So those you've got to continue if you're already into that. But now, if you've turned 73, you have to start. So one of the things they changed also is the penalties will be reduced in case you forgot to do so. So if you turned 73 this year, you actually have till April 1st of the following year. There's like a 90-day grace period if you don't get it done this year. We recommend do it this year and don't wait to December. Oh, and another thing that remember is you have to cash that check for it to count as a distribution. So once again, we don't recommend through the mail. Get that electronically, put in your checking account. It's equivalent of cashing the check. But one of the things they did, if you forget to do this, they've reduced the penalties. You want to help with that?
It was 50%. I don't know the new.
Yeah, it's reduced to 25% or 10% if you're really quick about reporting it. I don't know. That's wiggle room there. I'll define it as quick. Probably means, in the months following. Probably. I don't know. There'll probably be more clarification coming out on that, but probably the year after it was due may be quick. Beyond that, it's 25%. But used to, you could ask for forgiveness. If you're quick about it, ask for forgiveness, and then kind of explain what happened and why you won't do it again. It's kind of the rules we've always followed on that. But I don't know. With this change, I think it's 10% penalty, which is a lot less than 50% for that error. And it's something that you got to stay on top of and not forget this. It's a problem and piles up. And then the new IRS rule that's been in place since the Secure Act is non-spouse beneficiaries have to take the qualified assets out within 10 years. There's a few exceptions there, but generally speaking, a non-spouse Benny will have to take that money out within 10 years. If you inherited it after they had started taking RMDs, you're going to have to take RMDs 1 through 9, but then you've got to take it out, the rest of it on year 10. Any thoughts on that? You seeing people having trouble with that you're working with?
No, they're pretty widespread on that. It was notified, and they're staying up with that point.
Yeah, so it's important to note that. But one thing about, Roth IRAs, you don't have to take required minimum distributions. But a non-spouse Benny has to take that, empty that account out by year 10. And another rule change is regarding 401k Roths used to have RMDs if you're of RMD age. And they changed that. You're not going to have to if you leave your money in the company plan. I don't know why you would leave it at the old job. I think you should move it. Any other thoughts or tips as we wind down here for the top of the hour break?
So our point is always, start your filing early, and we're interactive. We'll bounce through, and when we've both done our best on perfecting your filing, we'll get your signatures, get you e-filed, and get you taken care of for the year. And it's always better to be done with taxes in the beginning of the year and not stretch it out. Nobody wants to take a whole year fretting and worrying about filing their taxes. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah, at least get that return and deal with the repercussions of owing money. Just putting it off compounds a problem, because if you put it off for a year, then now you've got to deal with 2 tax returns and retrieving data and all that stuff. It just, let's have a better life, make better financial decisions, which leads to an abundant life and an amazing retirement. If you're looking for some help, you can reach through my J. Heath and Company. What's your web address?
jheathcpa.com.
Okay. Or you could go to gregoryricks.com and reach out to Jude, or call my office 504-832-9200. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Roadblocks for Republicans. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. House Republicans investigating the classified documents discovered at 2 locations in President Biden's orbit may not get the information they're seeking from the Justice Department.
The Justice Department gave its first response to House Republicans yesterday, stating that it will negotiate in good faith, but ultimately will be limited in what they're able to reveal. The department cited longstanding policy preventing them from confirming or denying the existence of pending investigations. This followed requests by House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan for information relating to the department's work.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. The president is spending another weekend away from the White House.
President Biden is spending the weekend at his other home in Delaware this weekend. This one, his beach house in Rehoboth Beach. Some eyebrows were raised here in the press briefing room at the White House, saying, why is the president going to his summer home in the middle of the winter? Because they were wondering if classified documents were found also in Rehoboth. The White House denied that.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. The extraordinary influx of migrants at our southern border is impacting cities across the U.S. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez tells Fox and Friends Weekend city schools have absorbed 14,000 new students.
I think our border crossings have surged enormously under his administration. I think that's number one. So it doesn't seem like they're taking any action in terms of border security.
President Biden recently visited the border town of El Paso, Texas. There's heightened security at schools in Fairfax County, Virginia, after police say a female student was sexually assaulted in a middle school bathroom. The incident allegedly happened earlier this month, and police were immediately contacted. A suspect hasn't been identified. Authorities are reviewing surveillance footage. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. Welcome to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Yes, we're going to talk about money the next 2 hours. And take your calls, your questions. I've got comment cards, concerns that people have written in, and some from regarding surveys that we've done as well. I like me some surveys. You know, one of the things we do at the firm, Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, my day job, I'm CEO, founder of that. One thing I like to do at the end of meetings is ask them to rate a meeting. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the success of this meeting today? You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for a 10. Definitely 7 and up. Below that, it's kind of like, oh my goodness, what went wrong? Think about that. And that's what we look for, is can we provide 10s? And that's what I'd like to do for you the next 2 hours, is provide a 10 from an experience standpoint. So over this next 2 hours, I've got a few things in mind. We're going to have a Social Security talk about some of the changes for this year. We're also, I'm going to review in the next hour IRS filing tips there. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about inflation today as well. I want to I've got a couple ideas on annuities I want to share with you to give you some help there. Maybe adjust your thinking a little bit on there. You know, and I'll define this. Premium equals time as a thought on that topic. And then maybe a investing discussion. I've got an article I read this morning, I believe it was in Barron's, that was interesting. I'll share with you some different takes, but you know, investing, what I look for as a core is how do we get rotation of asset classes so you have something always moving in your favor. We actually, with that said, what do we want from all of our asset classes? We want them all to move in our favor, which means give us gains. But the reality is, no, it doesn't always work that way. But what we want is having most working in our favor. One thing about risk, I'll just throw this out there. One thing about risk is I want to minimize risk, so I don't and when I say that, I am also saying I want to reduce downside exposure. I want to reduce downside movement. That way, I don't have to make up as much lost ground, and that means I'm getting more of the up because I'm not having to make up as much lost ground. So I don't think all money should not be exposed to a negative environment. Saying all your money should be in stocks and bonds. I am not on board with that whatsoever. Some, but not all. So let that sink in a little bit as well. So we'll just kind of have a discussion in a little while about reducing downside risk from that standpoint. And we'll probably talk some about treasuries today. I'm already filling up my plate. And if you want to join the conversation on any of these topics or add a topic to cover, something that you feel would help you make better financial decisions, could be simply, you know, emergency money is an important topic that isn't discussed enough. 504-2600-995. And I got a note here that article on Barron's. I'm making my list of topics that's just popping in my head from my daily reading. I was up about 5:45 this morning to start my reading. I kind of love that, different topics, different things, and some of this may not be financial, but there was a book I saw this morning also about being positive, a positive person, and it was interesting from a standpoint, and I can grab this for you real quick here. Let me go to some history. Here, where we are. Well, I thought I was going to get to it a lot quicker than that. But once again, from a standpoint of being positive, what about when things don't quite go so well for you also? And how can you stay positive or find the good in things? And really, that's what we're looking for, is how do we stay positive really in kind of a negative world from this standpoint. And it's Cindy Spiegel. And she ran into some tough times, and she's one that kind of has written and talked about having a positive mindset out there. And then she had a rough year, lost a best friend, had a death in family, and a number of struggles from that standpoint. And then what she realized, even though you might be in a tough place emotionally, is and I'll define it as small wins. Start looking for the positive things, just simply a beautiful picture, a sunset, stop and smelling the roses, just look for those small wins that are out there every day, or just, doing something that helps you take your mind away from the problems to make things better there. And sometimes turn off the news. Sometimes I do that as well. And this was a notice the other day. I was interviewed for a financial topic on a news show, and I said, well, they didn't get to air it tonight. And I said, yeah, there was too many bad things happening in the news. That's going to be priority. The bad things seems to get a priority over the good things or good advice. So kind of think about that a little bit. So if you want to join the conversation, it's 504-2600-995. You can email me, info@gregoryricks.com, to start the conversation. And we're streaming over on Facebook Live, YouTube, and other channels. You can find out more about that at gregoryricks.com in the media. If you're looking, sometimes people are fearful of getting into a conversation or starting a meeting. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go in to Gregory's office. I need help, but, I don't want to be sold something. I don't want to make, I have trouble making big decisions. I'll tell you, maybe it's an easy hurdle. And I've got two parts to that. One, you could start just with a 15-minute call. You can call in and request a 15-minute call. We'll have a team member reach out to you, explore what you're needing help with, what you're looking to do. And let's say that leads to you coming into an office or doing a Zoom meeting, or you set up a direct meeting to come into the office. And I want you to know it is a protected space. And I define my team. I said, here's what the purpose of a first meeting is. It is a fit meeting. Are we a fit for them? And are they a fit for us? Kind of the things we look for in a fit is, are they a good person? Are they going to be nice to our team? Are they good stewards of their money? And do they believe in our process? Because that's what you're coming to as far as, because we know what we're doing. We're planning. We're my biased view is we're pretty darn good at what we do. That's my opinion. And we'll show you how we do things and go through that. But that meeting is a fit meeting. We're not expecting you to make a decision on that. Kind of at the end of that meeting, if we feel we have an agreement on fit, then we're going to schedule another meeting and continue the discussion. And we're going to do analysis on a lot of areas. We're going to do a risk analysis. We're going to do an income analysis. We're going to do a fee analysis. There's going to be a tax efficiency analysis. So there's probably could be anywhere from 5 to 10 things we perform for you. Oh, we're going to create a one-page plan. We're going to simplify it. It's not 100 pages. We're going to simplify it, a one-page plan. We're going to go over that in the second visit. So the first visit is a comfortable, safe place, a learning moment, and find out, is this a fit? And how, simply put, can we bring value? Can we help you? Can we solve problems for you? And we're always looking for problems to solve. And that's annual meetings with us is strategy meetings to here's what we're looking at in the future or later this year or next year and the year after. And a lot of these analysis that we're running and preparing for you on that second visit, we're redoing those every year going forward to take care of you going forward. So your decision is this a place that I can have a long-term relationship with? And can it be, and here's another part, and can they be a sounding board that you can come with ideas, bounce ideas, talk about things, and get the pros and cons? You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gas, groceries, interest rates, all way up. Can I, should I buy, refinance, or sell? Who can I trust? At Gumbo Nation for 30-plus years, we've guided clients just like you through these choppy times with home financing. Now is not the time to trust Aunt Sally's cousins, Uncle Joe. You need to trust but verify with a free second look from Mortgage Gumbo. It's your largest investment, and you deserve a guarantee. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
If you do not have money set aside, you do not have retirement assets, you don't have significant savings, you're thinking, well, when should I turn on Social Security? I'll answer that for you right now. You should probably work as long as you possibly can and as much as you can, because that means you defer Social Security as long as you can up to age 70. And you can keep working past that. That's fine. But age 70, you have to turn it on because you've maximized it there. And you've created the largest possible payment, and you're going to need all of that.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
It's a little too loud on the highway. I wanna pull back in your driveway. It's way too quiet at my place. Wanna come on over, come on.
Come on over. Give us a call. 504-260-0995 is the radio show number, but I gave you the office number before the break. That's 504-832-9200. We've got somebody that can, they'll answer the phones now if you're wanting to talk about getting some help next week or sometime in the future, whether it's a 15-minute call or a call to come into either the Baton Rouge office of Gregory Ricks and Associates, Mandeville, Louisiana office, the Metairie, Louisiana, or the Gulfport office to start improving your financial decision making so you can have an amazing retirement. So let's jump to the phones. We have Rob from Ocean Springs on the Winning at Life hotline. Welcome to the show, Rob. How can we help you? No, it's not working? Oh, darn. Okay. Well, hang in there, Rob. Let's see if we can get that solved. They may have to reset the equipment there. So, little technical problem we just found out we had there. So, okay. So, we'll move on to that for a moment, and we'll see if we can get the phones fixed from that standpoint. Let me pull up another thought here for you from, one of the things that we're seeing a lot of lately. Let's see, where did I get that pulled up? Pulled up the wrong article. Let's see, here it is. One of the questions I had on an interview this week was, well, it looks like, is it working now? We got Rob?
Yep.
Hey, Rob, welcome to Winning at Life. That was quick correction. Awesome.
Good morning, sir. I was just trying to touch base with you to see what your thoughts were with the high inflation we've been experiencing and everything about investments into precious metals, cryptocurrency, and tangible assets like real estate.
Well, one thing, there's only so much land.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know that real estate investing is for everyone because everybody may not have the funds or the credit ability to borrow money to buy land. But, having a home, I believe, is a good investment. I think everything I've personally done on real estate has touched and been positive, but that doesn't mean I go in and put all my resources towards investing in real estate, but I think that can be sound decision as well. You mentioned crypto, and I'd kind of avoid that like the plague, and my stance hasn't changed for the past 10 years that we've covered it. And I had somebody interview me the other day and kind of brought that up. And I just said, based on what we're seeing this past year, you should avoid it there. I don't know what the basis for it to be worth more, but what that amounts to is I would define it as a high risk area, which means most people should avoid that. Otherwise, if you're putting, it is high risk and you can be parted from your money. When you go into precious metals, that is something that needs a great deal of time. I don't know that they get you the return you're looking for, but if you're doing that, could put a small portion, but once again, let's not overweight. We should have diversification in asset classes. And if you want some precious metals, be careful how you buy that, how it's held. I would avoid qualified money with that. But, if you're buying precious metals, it's got to be held somewhere. You need to protect it. There's typically fees, and what is your access to that? And gosh, don't get
When you say
overweighted in
qualified
that.
money, what do you mean?
Well, qualified money is like your IRA money or your Roth money.
Oh, okay.
So you can't go buy gold and store it in your closet. That's IRA. It's got to be held by a third party custodian from that standpoint. So you can't directly hold it. So most of the time we see precious metals are bought with non-qualified or after-tax dollars. And I would just be careful. I'm not a big fan of coins because usually those are marked up. If you're buying precious metals like platinum, silver, or gold, you should be getting spot price plus a fee and hold over time. But and then look at why. The question would be, why are you doing it? I know the commercials say everything's going to Hades in a handbasket, so you should buy gold. I don't see it that way, and I am telling you, if it goes to Hades, I don't know that your gold's worth anything in that world either, because I've yet to see a doom show where that's the commodity that makes everything better, doesn't it? I'll tell you what, the commodity is water and bullets, probably, if it all goes to Hades in a handbasket. So from that standpoint, but what we're getting at is diversification, and don't take excessive risk. So when you can define that also as, what is my exit? Can I get out of it? And is this thing going to go off the grid where everybody, crypto's all this? Well, that's been an ugly year. So be careful with that.
It has. Sure. And I know, too, there's a lot of scams involved with crypto as well.
Well, it turns out to kind of be mostly that, doesn't it? Ponzi schemes galore. I've talked about that a number of times on the show. So that I'll just define that, not to hurt anybody's feelings or creating legal scenario. That's my opinion, but I'd sure be careful with that because, the one guy that's rested recently, and then some other firms failed over the summer, and they can't find those guys. And we got a number of people that's going to be prosecuted over it, and basically it's theft of funds. In my business, those assets have to have custody. They have to be held. Like, for example, my firm uses Fidelity Investments to custody assets. I don't personally custody assets. My firm does not custody assets. So we have oversight and we have custody rules. I can't take your funds and put on my table. So that is a separation. I'm giving advice, but I'm not like, just drop off a bag of money here. No, it doesn't work that way. So there's a separation there.
Okay. All right, sir. Well, I think that answers my questions. I appreciate your time this morning. Hope you have a good day, sir.
You as well, Rob. Thanks for calling. I think that was a great question with some great topics where people sometimes get confused there. And the cryptos have kind of been like Ponzi schemes, and and it also has to do with their tokens. It's like every firm's creating their own token, their own version of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so many others. I don't know all their names, but Freed had one of those with FTX, and they were inflating that to cover up what they were doing. It appears, allegedly doing so. So it's kind of like, I know one thing, and you might say, well, the Fed's manipulating the dollar. Yeah, but the Fed's not a Ponzi scheme either, and the value's pretty consistent. I define the ability, whether I use my dollar is exchangeable on Venmo, I can move it in and out of my bank, I can buy stuff with a credit card. if I look online or go into a store and want to buy a toaster and they say it's $29.95, and I say, well, I'm going to sleep on it, and I go back, you know what the price is going to be? $29.95 plus tax. And my dollar didn't change in value. It's not like it went down 20% overnight. The dollar is still the dollar there. That's how I think about it from that standpoint. Now, investing is long term. You take high risk like crypto. When it says high risk, that's kind of a nice way of saying you could be separated from your money. So what I like the world of medium to low to no risk there. And that's one reason at our firm we do a risk analysis. Our clients, we want to know how they think about risk. And I generally tell them, I said, but we're probably managing your assets more conservatively than you're going to score for, because, where somebody says, oh yeah, I can tolerate movement, but then we have a year where the S&P drops 20%. You're like, oh, and then they're upset. Well, they didn't quite answer that risk analysis honestly, because they're showing up more worried, more conservative from that. And that's one reason, we could have somebody come in off, so, I just want my money in stocks, or I just want my money in stocks and bonds. Well, that's exposing all money to risk. And I'm telling you, I know that's not going to go well every year. Market's up historically by decades about 7 out of every 10 years. So it kind of means we get some 3 years in there. It didn't go that way the past 10, but we had 2 down ones in the past 10, last year and 2018. But we want to have rotation, and everything shouldn't go down when you have a rough year like that. So let that sink in. We're going to take a break. Let's talk about some more stuff. You can give me a call, 504-260-0995, so you can join the conversation. You are listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We're going to be back in about 3 minutes.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Learn the ins and outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world. From rising inflation and higher taxes in retirement to market volatility, your 401k to your IRA, your pension to your Social Security to Medicare. Got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do? Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with the financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. President Biden is in Delaware this weekend as the classified documents scandal heats up.
The Justice Department gave its first response to House Republicans yesterday, stating that it will negotiate in good faith, but ultimately will be limited in what they are able to reveal. The department cited longstanding policy preventing them from confirming or denying the existence of pending investigations. This followed requests by House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan for information relating to the department's work.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators in Ukraine Friday for a first-hand look at how billions in American aid is being spent. This Democrat issues a stark warning.
The Russians are on the verge of a major counteroffensive that will be as barbaric and inhumane as all of what they have done.
Connecticut's Richard Blumenthal. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Ain't it fun?
Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining me today. I like doing this for you. We've been doing this for better than 12 years now, bringing you financial information to make your life better. And I know I've got a lot of listeners, and there's a lot of them just, you don't have adequate savings. You don't have emergency money. You may be struggling. But you know, one thing is, it just like, I just can't seem to get started. Well, what you can do is a budget audit, and let's find a way to start saving something this month. And I know you've got other problems solved, like, okay, I've got to get rid of my credit card debt. I owe money to Uncle Sam. But what you've got to work through all of these things. But one of the starting points is the basis of your financial house. Having a proper foundation would be having an emergency fund, and that's where we've got to get started, while you're solving these other things also. Because here's, when I say, nothing works all the time, well, something always happens. Something always breaks. And we're in January. So let's set a goal to create more savings, or start saving, or start an emergency fund. Another goal, and start doing that. And if you do that for a few months, you'll have created a habit. And do a check-in on that every week. I shared in our first hour one of the things I've done for years, and I read an article about when Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, and he talked about how he gets a cash report. Because back then, he had sold a company and took that money and bought the Cowboys, and he just wanted to see, that was probably a scary thing. Turned out pretty good deal, but still, buying it at the time was kind of probably scary for him. Like, how's this working out? So I need to know, where do we stand every week? And I took that and I said, well, that's what I need to know with my personal house and my business house. Where do I stand every week? And that would be cash flow, cash on hand, values, and so forth. Just where do you stand? So that's something maybe you get used to checking. I know the things, but it's just something simple. Maybe it's something you can automate to where, Friday morning, where do we stand? And you get used to seeing that. Is it staying the same? Did my cash report go down? Did my cash report increase? And really what you want that to be doing over time is improving. If it's going the wrong way, it's a red flag. You start asking questions about it. So that's a good habit to start here in 2023. And look, if you have some hiccups and say, well, gosh, I hadn't looked at it for a few weeks. Well, then go back and look at it. Just because you skipped a few weeks doesn't mean to quit or give up on it. Just go right back to it and continue, or going through that process of checking and get that data. It's going to create a great habit. And setting and starting new habits is great, but how about maybe one of your best might be something you break away from, and that's using reoccurring credit, like credit cards there. And look at that, of how you can put in a system of getting out of debt or getting away from reoccurring debt. I kind of like the method is I want to take and put together a list of everything I owe, and I want to do it in a way that I can pay off the smallest debt and then take that money and apply towards the next one and the next one and the next one. You could do that based on interest rate. Here's my definition of that. I think they're all high interest. So with that said, we just want to create an avalanche method so we get momentum that I pay off one and apply it to the other. And you can work this out mathematically. There's even software online, zilchworks.com. I have no relationship with them. I don't get paid for that, but it's something I've had people use in the past, or you could just do a spreadsheet to do that. But you could work through it and even see a payoff point of all of your debt and get into a situation. If you charge something, you pay it off at the end of the month and get out of that cycle. So I think that's a great thing to create a habit of ending this year. And I know we don't like living on budgets as a normal thing for most people, but it's good to do a budget audit to see what you can eliminate, free up cash. And another thought on inflation, where people are worried about that, like, oh my gosh, the eggs and bread are costing so much more. Gas isn't so bad as it was, not as good as it was. But hey, that's probably going up again as well. So one of the things a lot of people do, and we've talked about that today, is get your tax returns in quicker, do it digitally, and have your refund sent to you digitally, direct to your bank account. But one of the things, maybe, why are we overpaying Uncle Sam? Because he doesn't pay us interest rate on that. So why are we overpaying him during the year for a refund in the spring? If things are tight, inflation's impacted you, you're going to get that refund, but you might want to update your W-4, and you can fill out a new W-4. And you could do that at any time, make that change. There's calculators over at the IRS that can help you. And maybe you should just increase your biweekly paycheck. Instead of getting $1,000 at the end of the year, increase your pay to give you some more cash flow as we adjust to this new economy there. Which also, here's something else. Smart Asset says 1 in 3. A third of Americans leave free money on the table. How do they do that? Leave free money on the table. They're not taking advantage of their employer's 401k match. Don't leave that money on the table. Here, start a philosophy. If it's free, it's for me. Take advantage of that. If you're looking to free up some money, maybe call your cell phone company. Are you getting the best deal? Internet providers, are they providing you the best deal? On your budget audit, when's the last time you looked at Netflix or Hulu or something like that? Well, has it been a year or longer? Or maybe you don't need that service. Here's one that I think you should check time to time, and I do, because sometimes, like if I bought a car and added on coverage, they kind of add some fluff, it turns out, and I go back and I'm like, well, I don't need that. I don't need that. I did this last year, went and took a look at it and saved several $100s on my auto insurance by removing, I'll just call it fluff. I don't mean reducing coverage. I think, my liability coverage is like $300,000 or $500,000 or something, from that point, I'm not skimping on covering my risk, but there's stuff that I don't necessarily need in that coverage. It might be mechanical breakdown or mechanical repair. I don't know. But that's one reason. Check with them and see. You might free up some money, or you might want to shop the coverage at all. And then here's something I learned a long time ago. And it's asking for a raise isn't the only way to earn money. And if you want to ask for a raise, how about when you do that, it's not so awkward because you got proof that you bring a lot more value. A gentleman named Bob Safford, years and years ago, gave me this advice. He said, your income is relative to your knowledge. He says, you go out and get really good at what you do, keep increasing your knowledge, it's going to translate into more income. The BLS has statistics on that. If you boost your education, more experience and knowledge, it typically boosts your salary. Hey, I think you should read a financial article every week. Go to GregoryRicks.com, look at my news blog. I've got financial stuff that will boost your knowledge every week. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a few minutes.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
Regarding life insurance, you have 3 core types that I think of as term life insurance, universal life insurance, and whole life insurance. I can hear them out there, some of the guys in the industry that are listening to my show. Well, you miss variable life. Yeah, I know. There's some downside risk to that. Are you wanting your life insurance to have some negative stuff going on? I think not. So I'd rather have more of a defined life insurance and how this is going to work going forward. We should have a conversation. You've got kids, all this responsibility. Maybe it should be bumped.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Oh, Rover, you have fleas again? Prevent fleas and ticks from setting up shop in your backyard. Those bloodsuckers can bite up to 400 times a day and carry nasty diseases like typhus and tapeworms. Give Rover some relief and contact Mosquito Joe. Their mosquito control services also kill and prevent fleas and ticks. Let Mosquito Joe be your first line of defense against those blood-sucking pests. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income if you contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money, that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money, or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. We do this for you every Saturday. Hey, I shared a little while ago on my Facebook page, Gregory Ricks, to others and all those that are connected with me. I've got a few pages. The Winning at Life page. You can go over there and stream the show, watch it on your TV or smartphone, but don't watch it on that smart screen in your car. That might create a hazard there, unless you're parked in the shopping parking lot, just glued to the show, which I appreciate that. But you could stream the show and audio or visually, and reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. You can text, email, call the show as well. Heck, I was on the break going to check to see if we had any messages. Here, let's get to the right. And do I have anything on there in the past few minutes? No, but lots of emails as well coming in for the show. Important to share this with others. I think it's important, and it increases people's knowledge. You know, there's a book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect, that was impactful to me, that basically one of many great things in the book is just a simple philosophy of putting in some time daily reading to increase your knowledge, whether it's articles, books, and in 5 years, you'd become the foremost authority on that subject or in your field. Imagine what that does for your value. That's kind of a continuation of what I spoke about from the break, of how to get in a position to make more money, is to increase your knowledge, increase your ability. And when I was speaking about goal setting earlier this hour, maybe that might be the third thing to add is not daily. Let's make it easier. How about an article a week? Something. Start at easier. You know, I say read daily. Most people don't read a book in their lifetime, and I'm not going to ask you to try to start there, but start with articles or information. We've all got smartphones, tablets, computers, access to, so information is really access, and they've got algorithms in there that will start feeding you what your interest is. So, and I'm not saying it has to be financial, but financial literacy is to be fundamentally strong financially to make better decisions. So I'd kind of say do an article a week. But if you're trying to better your position at your firm or in your occupation, kind of start with something weekly and then improve it upon daily. And you might say, well, I don't have an hour a day or half hour a day. Well, start with 15 minutes a day. Take that time to do that. And I would say try to start your day with that as a positive thing. And then if you are having trouble with this world or life, add some positive thoughts into that. Positive psychology there to help you along as well. One of the things I wanted to also talk with you about, and I just shared some ideas regarding how to deal with high inflation. We talked about maybe not getting that tax refund each spring. How about spread it across your paycheck? Take advantage of your 401k match. Speak to some of your providers about getting a better deal. Cut out some streaming or subscriptions that you have. One other that I failed to mention, if you're having trouble with paying off credit card debt, another thing is call them up, ask them for a reduction, ask them for some help there. Can they give you a better rate? If you had a late payment, call and ask for them to waive that. I don't know what that fee might be. It's too much, in my opinion, whatever it is. It might be $10, it might be $25 or $50, but ask for that to be waived. And then that's money you don't have to pay them. So that is another good, helpful hint right there. So you add those things together, and occasionally you kind of have to go back and review where you are on that. So when we're kind of looking at a cash report weekly to start adding to what you do, I know I'm piling on here, but these are good little things that add up to a much better life. You might want to look at what is your debt report monthly. I won't make you do that weekly. It's too much of a negative. Cash report probably should be weekly. And then a debt report is probably something you should look at monthly. It's kind of like a profit loss statement. You're comparing your debt to your cash statement, say at the end of the month. I was asked this question the other day is, where do you think we're going on inflation? Well, it's been slowing for months, but I've got a Fortune article here with some thoughts from Mohammed Elron, top economist. And you've probably seen, if you watch much business news like I do, then you've probably see him a good bit. He was former chief economic advisor to Allianz as well. But, after raging to multiple 4-decade highs in 2022, inflation has fallen steadily over the past 6 months. But now an increasing number of economists and business leaders are worried that trend won't last. And I spoke about this the other day on an interview, and I said, look, I think inflation is going to continue to reduce, but we're not getting back to the 2010s inflation rate of below 2%. I don't think we're getting back there for a good while. I kind of said, I think we're probably going to settle in at somewhere at 4%. So I read this article this morning, and it's got a January 21st date on it. And Mohammed Elron said, I think inflation's going to get sticky in the mid-year at around 4%. Mohammed Elron, the president of Queen's College at the University of Cambridge, told Bloomberg on Friday. The economist has been warning about the possibility of persistent inflation since August of last year. But he's not alone. Christian Ulbrich, CEO of JLL, a real estate and investment management firm, told Financial Times this week at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, It was a common view among executive peers that 4% inflation is the new 2% inflation. So I think that's going to be helpful to you there. You're going to have to make adjustments. We're not going to have that luxury of the 2010s for a while. It's going to be the 2020s, and you should be prepared. That doesn't mean your eggs are going up 4% because they went up a lot more than that the past 12 months, but we're going to feel inflation a bit more. And another thing that's going to, one of the things, I was reading another article talk about what is the fix? Well, we need more workers. We need more workers. We need more immigrants that can come and work, qualified to work, that bring value. I'm not getting in a debate on what's going on south of the border, but if they're coming across, they should be issued a card with a social security number and the ability to go get a job and get some English classes. That's just a thought. If they're going to come across, let's get them to working, get them in the system. We've got jobs available. We have shortages here. And until we could start filling the unemployed ranks truly for the employment. I know employment, you say, the employment number's low. Well, they start needing to look at the new world we're in. That's like, inflation of the 2010s, that's history. This is the inflation of today. The way you've looked at employment in the past, that's in the past. You need to start looking at it differently there. And I think once we get some of those things rectified, that will help inflation come down, because we have it. Inflation's high. Why? Because of wage, shortage of employees, having to spend more money there, driving up prices. Government looks like the giving away all this money's kind of come to a halt right now. So that should be helpful as they raise interest rates to sop up some of that excess money there. So Ulbricht also goes on to say, there are a lot of fundamental trends, including decoupling of U.S. and Chinese economies and the move towards green energy, which could even keep inflation persistently around 5%. You may think that's a small difference, but 2 or 3 percentage points is a big deal when it comes to inflation. So once again, what I'm seeing, what I feel going forward is this isn't going away, but this, what we experienced the past year is not going to be as much. So, and interest rates are going to stay high. We're not going back to that 1% Fed rate. We're going to have interest rates higher for a little while. You got to readjust to the 6% mortgage. Think about that. Let that sink in. We're going to take a couple-minute break here. We're going to come back for hour 3 of Winning at Life. You are listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in about 6 minutes there, and you can join the conversation then. See you in a few.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
The fight for a full investigation. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. House Republicans have already been warned that the Justice Department may not be able to accommodate their requests for information when it comes to the White House documents scandal.
At the end of the day, we believe there should not be a double standard. Our country is one in which a meritocracy should at the very top of things, and at the end of again, and most importantly, that the rule of law is equal to everyone. And right now, we're not seeing that.
Congressman Burgess Owens, classified documents were found at President Biden's Wilmington home and in office. Earlier this week, he said he has no regrets. Debate over the debt ceiling could push the document story off the front pages.
Right now, Republicans and President Joe Biden talking at each other, not with each other. The White House message is they're going to refuse to negotiate over anything having to do with spending. Now, a senior GOP aide tells me that right now the leadership is coming up with specific asks that they're going to present to the president regarding the debt ceiling.
Fox's Edward Lawrence. A developing story out of Missouri. Authorities say all 5 inmates who escaped from jail this week are back in custody. 4 of them were found in Ohio. As Ukraine pleads for more military assistance for its fight against Russia, Western leaders remain divided. Defense officials met in Germany yesterday but couldn't resolve differences on whether to provide advanced battle tanks.
To the Germans, send tanks to the Ukraine because they need the tanks. It is in your interest that Putin loses in Ukraine.
Senate Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina was part of a bipartisan group which met with Ukraine's president in Kyiv yesterday. America's listening to Fox News.
Fox News Sunday has a new voice, and her name is Shannon Bream.
I've spent more than 20 years covering stories that matter to Americans.
Variety says Shannon Bream launches a new era.
Curious, tenacious, always after the story. On this show, we'll get to the heart of the issues and remind people in this town they work for you.
Forbes says Bream's already making the show her own. See what everyone is talking about. Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream.
I know you've got some questions, America, so let's get some answers.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network, Fox News Rewind Financial Crisis 08.
This is an extraordinary period for America's economy.
A look back at the biggest financial crisis since the Great Depression.
The market is not functioning properly.
And the events leading up to it from the people who were there.
You started to see the Dow plunge in synchronicity with the vote on the House floor.
Subscribe now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Never, ever 100% trust Wall Street.
3 years ago, COVID-19 officially reared its head in the U.S.
January 21st, 2020 was the day the first case of coronavirus in the United States was confirmed. The patient was a then 35-year-old Washington State man who had recently traveled to Wuhan, China. He was experiencing fever, a cough, nausea, and vomiting, and had to be hospitalized for over a week. The World Health Organization issued a global health emergency 10 days after the man was diagnosed on January 31st, and the Trump administration declared a public health emergency in the U.S. on February 3rd. Johns Hopkins reports that, to date, more than 1.1 million Americans and more than 6.7 million people worldwide have died due to COVID-19. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Parts of Selma, Alabama were ripped to shreds by a tornado earlier this month, but that won't stop the city from holding its annual celebration commemorating the fight for voting rights in March. The twister had estimated winds of 130 miles per hour. Wedding bells for an American hero.
The Eagle has landed again. Former astronaut Buzz Aldrin has stunned the world once more. The second man to walk on the moon has taken his 4th trip down the aisle. The American hero marked his 93rd birthday Friday by marrying his 63-year-old girlfriend, Dr. Anka Fauer, who's also the executive vice president of Buzz Aldrin Ventures, LLC. The two tied the knot at a small private ceremony in Los Angeles on the same day Aldrin was named a living legend of aviation. In a statement, the last surviving member of the Apollo 11 crew and one of only a dozen men to walk on the lunar surface said he and his new bride were, quote, as excited as eloping teenagers.
Fox's Karen McHugh. I'm Pam Puzo, Fox News.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career. And you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
Welcome. If I get my mic to stay in place, welcome to Winning at Life. Live financial news talk radio. I was just looking at some online feedback. Hour one of the show, got a lot of feedback on that. I think I got me some 10s on that hour of tax tips regarding getting those returns in and why. Helpful things to look out for. We talked about that in the first hour of the show. Had also comments about my risk discussion. It was brief, but it was good, regarding reduction of risks. So I've got a few things to talk about with you this hour, and I just got to notice 1 minute to coming back on, and it just came through. So, but we're already on the air. Yeah, I went and got some hydration on our few-minute break there. Hopefully you were able to do so as well. This is live financial news talk radio, and not always financial tips are in the mix, and some of the tips we've given today is, once again, hopefully leads to better financial decision making. But Winning at Life app, you can text, email, call the show through the app. Call us directly, 504-260-0995. And email info@gregoryricks.com. Hey, let me know if we're getting a 10 feeling for you on there on helping the show. It's kind of at my day job, Gregory Ricks and Associates. I like to score the meetings after we have a strategy meeting or somebody comes in to take a look at our processes at the firm at the end. I always kind of say, how do you score this from 1 to 10, 10 being really successful for you? Hey, any of you need to do some decluttering? I'm looking at a news article here, just kind of 6 decluttering principles. I think we all need to do that. You know, it's kind of the spring cleaning, might be the January start of the year decluttering. You know, and I'll define this. How do you declutter? It's the same way as you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, probably. You can't just tackle the whole house. So they give 6 quick tips here. Let's see who's credit. Joshua Becker. Number 1, identify the purpose of a room and get rid of anything that doesn't serve that purpose. Distinguish between decluttering and organizing. Simply put, these things aren't the same. It's like the difference between arranging the furniture and renovating a space. Okay, that's a good tip. Number 3 is start with the easier spaces and move on to the harder ones. I'd relate that to paying off debt. You know, my suggestion and the way I liked it when I had to do that a great while back was start with the smaller debt, pay it off, and then apply that money to the next. So what's the easier space to declutter? Start with that one. And then number 4, choose one of 3 options for every object. Here it is. Remove it, relocate it, or leave it. You know what we do typically? Relocate it. Maybe it should have been removed. Number 5, focus on the gains, not the subtractions. Well, here's how Joshua defines that. Minimizing isn't just about getting rid of clutter. It's about adding freedom and control back into your life. Celebrate your wins in the form of new freedom. You know, one thing I relate to financial topics and planning. So how can we do something complicated but make it simple, or do it in a simpler way? And that makes it easier to understand. So we've gone through 5. Number 6, count the clutter cost. Joshua defines that as think about your money, your energy, and the days and hours of your life spent addressing clutter. And all the time dealing with clutter takes away what matters most. Is clutter making you happy or unhappy? Seek happiness. Hey, that's kind of like self tips for me, because I need to do some of that. I'm kind of my own worst enemy on that, of seeing something in value in the future, and it's just creating a problem instead of adding value. So I just thought those couple of ideas might help you right there from that standpoint. So I've got a couple topics when we come back from the break, but let me see if I can share something with you real quick regarding annuities. I know there's a firm on TV that has something to do with fish, is always talking about, I hate annuities, but I looked at his document, this multi-page thing that he requests, that you can request from him, and when you request it, then he's going to forever call you thereafter. But with that said, it goes in the fine print when he's saying, I hate annuities. Well, he's talking about variable annuities, and it's in the disclosures in the document. And when you talk about the annuity world, there's 2 parts to it. There's fixed annuities and variable annuities. And I won't use the word hate. That's harsh. But I'll tell you what, I dislike variable annuities. I'm like, why do I need to put mutual funds in an expensive wrapper? And heck, I really don't want mutual funds unless it's my only choice. I'd rather exchange traded funds. Why? Efficiency, lower cost. For non-qualified money, they're more tax efficient than mutual funds. But going back to variable annuity, I don't want an expensive wrapper. Why do I need to wrap it with another 2, 3, or 4% in costs? And if I'm wanting an annuity, I'm wanting to not be connected to risk versus being put into risk there. So I do like me some annuities, but I just don't like variable annuities. So wanted to give you a little bit of clarity there. But when we come back from the break, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes and talk about fixed indexed annuities. I also want to talk about multi-year guarantee annuities and a couple alternatives that kind of goes alongside those. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mortgage Gumbo, can you help me? Can you help my client purchase a new home loan? Gumbo Nation, this is the questions I receive daily from listeners just like you. Hi, this is Dwayne Stein of Mortgage Gumbo, Dadcam, and I'm proud to say yes, I can help you. At Mortgage Gumbo, we guide you through the home buying process, giving you the whys to each step in your exciting journey. Let's start with a free chat today. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app.
On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
What we found through history, looking at the past 90 years, most fund managers don't outperform or perform as well as the indexes. Using indexing, historicals teach us skew a higher return. And yes, there's bad stocks in the S&P 500 as it looks right now, and yet the index is up. I like to use index ETFs because those are much lower expense ratios. We try our best in managing our portfolios to avoid trading costs, and we know I've been doing this for 30 years. I've studied trading strategies. You're not going to outsmart the indexes. You may get lucky, you may get unlucky.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
'Cause you make me wanna pull this truck to the side of the road, slide on over, let me hold you close and tell you everything I'm thinking. Hop on out and let the tail.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, going on. See, June will be 13 years, so we're 12 and a half years into Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Love doing this show. Love your feedback. Love helping people, talking to people in the public that are listeners to the show. And somebody I spoke to the other day, and they said, yeah, they didn't recognize me, but then they said, when I heard you speak, I knew who you were. And so that's kind of funny. And then sometimes people will, can I get your name? And are you the radio guy? I said, yeah, that's me. So what that is, as feedback, they're listeners to the show. And I love that we have a tremendous audience. And then we're converting more and more people over every week. I converted a few people this week to listening to the show. Okay, before we went to break, I was talking about, those variable annuities. Yeah, I have a dislike for those. Why would you? And I'll define this. I sat down with somebody a number of weeks back and had a discussion, and they had put money a couple years ago into a variable annuity, several $100,000. And they had the contract with them, and I kind of looked over it. And then I heard them say, yeah, I know. And I was, what? I said, oh, I know what you're thinking. And I said, yeah, you probably should have came to us for a second opinion before you did that, because they lost money as the market downturned, and putting it into annuity should be, in my opinion, avoidance of downside exposure. And I said, yeah, we would have done this a bit differently so you could capture upside of the market when it's there, but not be exposed to the downside there. And to me, when you think about it, an annuity, the purpose of it is to get positive gains and not be exposed to negative environment. And if you're listening to the show, client or not of my firm, you should get a second opinion. If you've had an annuity for a while, it probably should be updated. Why? We're living in now the best environment for fixed annuities we've had in the past 20 years. Why? The interest rates. Treasuries are paying around 4% or more. It's one of the best environments. Now, if you've got a surrender period, no, it might not should be updated. It could possibly. That should be something to look at, but you should consider updating that. In building a portfolio, I think index-linked investing should be part of the mix. Why? That gives you upside exposure to gains, subject to caps or participation rates, but the insurance company covers you for the downside risk, meaning you will not have negative market exposure. So I'll kind of say if the market's negative, zero is your friend because you didn't suffer a downside. You know, market doesn't go up every year. Over the previous 10 years, we've had 2 negative years. Yeah, 2022. Do you know the other year? Think about it. 2018. Yep. That's it. 2018's the 2 years. So 8 out of 10 years, the market's been up. I don't know that goes that way for this next, say the next 10 years. You know what I think is probably more the historical. There'll be 7 out of 10 will probably be up. And we want those up years, but we want to minimize those negative years when they come. Jury still be out on 2023, but some institutional guidance say they expect this to be an up year when the end of the year gets here. So I like indexed linked investing as one of your asset classes where you get upside and no negative exposure. What is a negative about having index linked or fixed indexed annuities? They have a surrender period, meaning, and it varies. It could be 5, it could be 7, it could 10, or it could be longer. I don't like the longer. I think the sweet spot on those is 10 years because the insurance company that's picking up that risk has to have time to work with that money. Because basically, say you put $100,000 into one as an example, they're putting it into a spread of bonds. They're building a bond portfolio to support that contractual agreement and yield growth. So they've got to make money on that bond portfolio, which translates into the ability to buy options to capture you the upside. The insurance company takes on the risk. So you have a surrender period, which means there'll be a fee to exit early. But one thing I find people don't understand on those is, well, is my money tied up? No, you can exit. There is a fee to exit early. Well, what if I need income? Well, for all purposes, you can pretty much start income at any point. I typically like to season the first year and start income from those second year. But if you've got a multi-asset class portfolio, so income's not a problem. And we love those as an income distribution tool. As an asset class, because why? We're never distributing money from them in a negative environment. Why? They never go negative. Where stocks, if you've got a portfolio based in stocks and bonds, guess what? You're taking income. You took from a negative environment this year, and you sold off pieces that's never going to be recovered. That never happens having a asset class that doesn't go negative. And those fixed indexed annuities, when they're structured as growth, there's no fee on that asset class. just that surrender period for leaving early. So you kind of, well, what's my cost? It's the surrender period. And you know what I'll define it as? Time. You got to leave the money there. And the sweet spot is 10 years. So, well, in 10 years, I'm going to be 70, or somebody saying in 10 years, going to be 80. Because I get that feedback. Well, I'm going to be 80 in 10 years, and in 20 years, you're going to be 90. So what's the point? And you're going to live to probably 95. What are we supposed to do? Not manage money? Just manage it a day at a time? Keep you complete? Well, then if you don't have time on your favor, you're not compounding money. So think about time. And let's shift it. I don't believe all your money should be in stocks and bonds. And all your money should not be in any type of annuity, meaning all the funds. And it's subject to tolerance, income planning. There's a number of things you have to look at, but what I believe is a good allocation of assets is kind of half your money probably should not be exposed to risk. You really shouldn't expose more to risk. Some higher net worth people might carry more risk exposure, but that's subjective to each person and to how the plan's built and what you're trying to do there. But I kind of think of what is the cost of using a fixed indexed annuity? It's time. And it should be one of your asset classes. It should not be a variable annuity. It could be MYGA's multi-year guaranteed annuities. On the risk side, I'll correlate something else to that. We like buffers. We like ETF buffers, which means they reduce downside exposure. Like if you're carrying a 10% buffer and the market's down, and just use example of the S&P, say it's down 5% and you have a 10% buffer, well then you're down 0. If you're down 8% and you have 10% buffer, you're down 0. But if you're down 12, if the S&P's down 12, well then you're down 2%. That case. Now it's going to limit to your upside. You might have an upside cap of 8, 9, 12%, and those buffers probably need to be let work for a year. Typically is how they're designing, or they'll rotate on forward. You can lock into 1-year periods or have it just as an ongoing buffer. We like ongoing buffers as an asset class. I like efficient tactical, which we've added to our mix. We've also utilized quantitative tactical, but I also like efficient tactical. It's just a little bit different structure to that, where it follows momentums, and I like me some stocks and bonds. But one of the areas that came up when we come back from the break here is treasuries. People wanting shorter term liquidity, or thinking like, I don't need to be in risk anymore. I like these 4% yields and all. Thinking of going and getting CDs or such. Or what about MYGA's multi-year guarantee annuities? I've got something you should be thinking about. When we come back from the break, I'm going to share with you a treasury ladder. How about that? You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Learn the ins and outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world. From rising inflation and higher taxes in retirement to market volatility, your 401k to your IRA, your pension to your Social Security to Medicare. Got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do? Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with the financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
If you're unprepared for current market volatility, and concerned about how it could impact you. Take action now. I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you devise a strategy to navigate this market. Make sure you're still on track to reach your financial goals. Schedule a visit at gregoryricks.com. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Today marks a somber anniversary in the U.S.
January 21st, 2020, 3 years ago, was the day the first case of coronavirus in the United States was confirmed. The patient was a then 35-year-old Washington State man who had recently traveled to Wuhan, China. He was experiencing fever, a cough, nausea, and vomiting, and had to be hospitalized for over a week. Johns Hopkins reports that, to date, more than 1.1 million Americans and more than 6.7 million people worldwide have died due to COVID-19.
Fox's Kevin Uretsky. Meanwhile, in Paris, France, more than 1 million people have taken to the streets of that nation's capital and elsewhere to protest French President Macron's plans to raise the retirement age. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life. Go to my Facebook Winning at Life page. Check it out. My personal page, Gregory Ricks. If you want to be a friend, you can. If you don't, you don't. But go check us out. From that standpoint, share the show. Let's make it contagious and get everybody on board with making better financial decisions so you and your friends can all experience amazing retirements. And you know what retirement is? It's having the ability to have a work optional lifestyle. Work because you want to, not because you have to. That's what it can lead to. Okay, so we went to break. I talked to you about index-linked investing, fixed indexed annuities, then kind of talked about buffers. I kind of relate buffers to being similar to index-linked investing, where on index-linked investing, the insurance company takes the downside exposure from you and gives you a portion of the upside. So on index-linked right now, we're seeing caps to the upside like 9, 10, 11% upside as an example. When you kind of say, well, what? I don't get it all. Well, you pretty much are. Go look at the history of the market. Go go look at the past 25 years. Is there that many years that it made more than that? Not really. But the trade-off is you have no downside exposure. Kind of say, well, the market had, this many up years. Yeah. And, it had some past 25 years. Yeah, it had some double-digit negative years too. So you needed good up years to offset those negative years. So fixed index gives you portion of the upside, no downside. Insurance company takes off the risk. Buffers give you a portion of the upside and limit the downside. So that's actually taking risk money when you don't have the insurance company taking the risk away, but it could be structured where you're lowering that downside exposure. Overall goal in our philosophies at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, is to reduce downside exposure there. Now, questions have been coming up more. If I want to get away from, I'm thinking about getting away from risk. I'm thinking about CD shopping, or we're getting requests regarding MIGA's multi-year guarantee annuity. So we're getting 2, 3, 4 year annuities with 4% or more in guaranteed yield. But one of the things we're looking at, but that kind of commits you or locks you into a period of time. And that is a legit offer. And one thing when somebody says, well, we're shopping some bank rates, well, I can get you through some multi-year guarantee, or I call it CD annuities. I can get you better rates there. But how about this? Now, typically when you're doing a bank CD, to get you got to do a certain period of time. And you're doing a CD annuity. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years, subject to what yield you're wanting. But how about this? How about blank? Mine went blank. How about treasury ladders? I was thinking about saying I-bonds, but that was not the right way to actually describe it to you. But how about, and I'm looking at one here through iShares, I-bond ladders. And this is where we can go in and we can build this two ways. It could be built straight up, and think about this, where you could go put money in treasuries and it just be for 1 year. Like it all goes to cash. Say get a 2023 treasury ladder and it's at cash at the end of 2023. Instead of having ongoing bond portfolio, you can pick windows, or you could get one that everything matures as in cash the end of 2024, or get a 3-year period that takes you through 25, or once again to a 1-year period that takes you through the end of this year. And then say, what's yield, 30-day yield percentage, annualized percentage? You're looking at, on the 2023, it's 4.5%. 2025, they're showing presently 4.07. So you're getting current yields going forward. And I like that, where somebody's saying, sometimes what's the case is, I sold this property. I just need to put the money for work 2 years, but then I need access to it in case I want to buy another property that might be 2 years out, unlikely less. But you got liquidity before then. If you're wanting to get out of it, say 9 months in, there could be a little bit of adjustment on value. But if you wait to the end of the year, you've got full maturity there. So it gives you an option and I won't say option, that's the wrong word here. It gives you additional choices for short-term money. Some of this could be your emergency money that you're putting in year to year or up to multi-year slots, yet it's liquid, but getting you some reasonable return, because you can start thinking of money a little differently now, because we're back in what I'll define as a normalized yield world. We're above 3% on short-term money. It's wonderful, isn't it? It is a better world. So when I started the show this morning is like, I'm excited about 2023. Look at where we are on yield. That's enough to have optimism about, that we're living a better world. Yeah, we got problems, some of the government rules, inflation, crime, but I can still stop and smell the roses. I can enjoy a good glass of Cabernet. I can relax and read an interesting financial article. Things are good. And this, for my firm, this is the year of client love. We're going to show clients love, and we're creating more client events. And I just think it's going to be fun there. Is it problem-free, the world? No. But we can look at the good things in life. And if you're making good financial, you may hate your job, but you know what? If you're putting away money, filling up that 401k, making good decisions, you are working towards a work optional lifestyle. So we talked about using some index linked or fixed indexed annuities. We talked about buffers. Now we've got treasury ladders. And look, I can also do those a version where we have some buffers in them as well, to if there might have been some exposure, to take that away as well. So there are some neat things in this world that we can do. And like our quantitative tactical or efficient tactical that we add as an asset class also utilizes algorithms built over data from history to give you an edge, potentially a little more upside. So when I kind of divine my investment philosophy, I like some stocks and bonds, makes like a blend of that. I like some buffers to reduce risk as well. I like quantitative tactical because I want money. If things are rough, the seas get really rough, it can go to cash short term or go to treasuries, but otherwise follows where momentum is, because what's in favor rotates, and we want to follow that rotation. Gives us an increased probability of success. Now we've got treasury ladders that we can put in place for short-term money, or even more conservative take on things. And we like index-linked investing, which is similar to the buffers, but we use insurance companies to take off the risk. We want to get you in a situation where something's always moving, increase the probability of you have multiple asset classes always moving in favor. Because what we need is long-term success. You're turning 65 or you're at 50. Well, what? We're going to quit. You're going to quit investing when you're 65? Just park the money in cash? No, you're living for 30 more years. And that's what you got to plan for, is you got to keep winning over time and have a plan that's continually adjusted. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in 4 minutes.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I'd like you to find some place that I call your retirement home. I don't mind home ownership. There might be some tax advantages or not. It just is kind of control if you can find that place that fits your lifestyle and your budget, because here's what you have as a renter. Unknowns is raise the rent. Bob, I don't want to rent to you anymore. I'm going to sell the house, or no, my son needs that house. So that leaves you a lot of what ifs, and that now you've got to go find someplace else there. So it is something worth considering, and it sounds like from a budget standpoint and asset standpoint, you have that. You've got to manage that taxable event and how that hits you in doing so.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
And a little bit of chicken fried. Cold beer on a Friday night.
A little bit of weekend fun. Hopefully you're going to enjoy this weekend. Take a break from the grind. Do something a little bit fun. Maybe for you it's some football. Maybe it's an afternoon nap. Maybe it's some reading over at GregoryRicks.com, the news blog. Start your new habit of a financial article a week. Find something over there that you can read to help you make better, improve your financial decision making. Or maybe you start with your profession. Find some reading on that to help better your knowledge. Just imagine doing it an hour a week for the next 5 years where you'll be. I know that's looking way ahead. Okay, I'm going to throw a negative at you. Look, I critically think about our world, about how our lives interact in it, how our investments interact with what all's going on. And, you know, I watch the markets, I watch the news, and I have different takes on things. But, you know, I am risk averse. I don't like a lot of exposure for myself or you. That's why we utilize these different asset classes. You know, I was seeing a news story about this Taiwan thing, and my wife, I walked in the room and she was watching it. She said, did you see if the U.S. and China gets into it, there are going to be a lot of Americans die if this goes bad? And I said, yeah, and I didn't mention to her, and then the stock market is not going to be happy either. Financials are not going to be happy. So we've got these things out there, and then you got the Russia-Ukraine thing going on. Well, what if that gets worse? Yeah, it could, but it probably won't. The China thing probably won't happen. But what if it does? Do you have, and that's where I go when I gave you my asset allocations, are you invested in a way that you can make it through a short-term disruption? And I'm not talking about some World War III or nuclear holocaust, but go back to the Iraq War when we mobilized a lot of troops and went over there and took down Saddam Hussein. Go look at the S&P 500, how it reacted during that period of time. There was a drop. You go back to the first Bush president when him and the coalition got involved in that over there. The market pulled back. When you'll have these disruptions time to time, we don't know for what or why or when, but they come along and then it goes back up. But how are you going to weather that disruption, whether it's for like COVID for 60 days, that lockdown, and how the market dramatically corrected during that, or some of the previous wars, or the future conflict, whatever it may be, there's going to be a future one. Are you diversified asset class-wise that will minimize that? I was speaking with somebody the other day, and I said, if you followed this diversification, you have less than 25%. Think about it. Think about this now. Just pause for a moment. Less than 25% exposure to the downside. If you have the buffer, it's probably less than 20% downside. And what are you exposed to on all asset classes? Yeah, the upside. I think that is a better way to invest. Is if you've reduced downside exposure, you've increased upside exposure over the long term. Let me see. Here's another, if I can find an article I pulled up here. I don't see that. Let me go to my email here, info@gregoryricks.com. Simple portfolio here. It's not on my news blog yet, but I was looking at this morning, and for those that want to do some deep reading, this simple portfolio makes money in all markets. Well, that's based upon a historical look. And let's see, what do I have here? It's a Barron's article. Brett Aaron's from Market Watch. So it's on their Market Watch, and introducing, they're talking about a newsletter here. Let me see where I'm at. Now he says, well, now this is interesting, especially if you want your savings to go to work and make money in all environments, booms and slumps, crashes and manias, deflation, inflation, stagflation, and apocalypse. And it's just what I read from, that's written in the article. That's not me just putting those words out there. I'm referencing that article. And he goes on to say, and especially if you figure you do enough sweating, actually making your money without wanting your money to make you sweat anymore every time you check your 401k. And he said, I just checked in with Doug Ramsey, the chief investment strategist of money management firm Leithold and Company over in Minnesota. He's been tracking a portfolio of multiple asset classes going back 50 years. And I read this morning, and I myself want to dig into it a little bit more, of course. You know I will. But after our talk and with some further analysis, Ramsey came up with a refinement to his all-asset, no-authority portfolio. And he kind of noted, he's built an even better mousetrap. And really, they're talking about 8 asset classes. His original AANA portfolio consists of equal amounts invested in 7 different asset classes. U.S. large cap stocks, U.S. small cap stocks, U.S. 10-year treasury notes, U.S. real estate investment trusts, international stocks, commodities, and gold. It's beautifully simple, all-weather portfolio. I gave you my all-weather portfolio, which is a rotation and sees, investing changes like seasons of the year. Each season's different. There's problems. Let me see. What's your favorite season? I'll tell you mine, spring and fall. And they're still not the same. Fall's kind of a nuisance. Got leaves falling everywhere. Spring, I love spring, but it comes with the rains more so. Think about that. And you might like winter. I don't. It gets too darn cold. But I like winter better than August out of the summer, actually. But I don't like freezing temperatures because I'd rather deal with the heat. I can still get outside and do something. See, investing, we don't like everything about investing, but investing rotates. In this article, which I'll put on my blog at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, it's at GregoryRicks.com, the news blog. But it goes through and you could read about this, and I think this helps give you an understanding that it doesn't mean all this works, but over time, they're showing data that his simple strategy works. Over time, my simple strategy works. Another thing, heck, I'm running out of time. You know what we should do? We should get back together here next Saturday, 10 a.m., 3-hour show to 1. If you need help during the week, reach out to me at Gregory Ricks and Associates. GregoryRicks.com, 504-832-9200. And I'll see you then.
Firm offers insurance services. Gregory Ricks & Associates is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Gregory Ricks & Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks & Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks & Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.